Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Friday, October 24th, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. It's supposed to be payday for many federal workers, but thanks to Donald Trump's MAGA government shutdown, the checks aren't going to be hitting accounts. New York Attorney General Letitia James makes her first court appearance, pleading not guilty to federal mortgage fraud charges and vows to fight back against the twice-impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief Donald Trump's political hit job. Also, Tennessee's 7th Congressional District Special election is shaping up to be a classic conservative progressive battle. We'll talk to the Democratic nominee and the director of the grassroots organization hoping to flip the historically Republican district. Stephen A. Smith issues an apology to Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett after getting a lot of heat for his comments, including from yours truly. And it was truly an FAFO moment when a white man decided to attack a black Amazon delivery driver. Instead of delivering packages, she delivered a 1-2 combo to their face. Folks, it's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling.
Folks, day 24 of the government shutdown, and for families across the country, especially federal workers, today it hits hard. It's the first missed paycheck since the shutdown began, leaving more than 1.4 million civilian government employees without pay. With the Senate recessed until next week and the twice-impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief Donald Trump beginning a multi-country trip to Asia and also focus on his little ballroom, there's little hope for a breakthrough anytime soon. The standoff is now the second longest government shutdown in American history, straining families and endangering public services. Democrats, led by House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, says the crisis will only end when Republican leaders finally agree to negotiate a bipartisan solution.
The problem that the country confronts right now is that Donald Trump and Republicans decided to shut the government down. Like, what's unclear about the fact that Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the presidency? And from the very beginning of this year, they've taken a my way or the highway approach, have steamrolled the country in all of the things, jamming their right-wing ideology down the throats of the American people. And now Republicans are claiming that they're helpless. The problem that we have right now is that House Republicans refuse to come back. They've literally been on vacation for 4 consecutive weeks. Donald Trump has found all of the time in the world to play golf. He can try to extort $230 million to line his pockets from the Department of Injustice. Somehow the Trump administration found $40 billion to bail out a right-wing wannabe dictator in Argentina, but can't find a dime to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits in order to make life and health care more affordable for hardworking American taxpayers. And Donald Trump is demolishing parts of the White House in real time. Why? So he can construct some gaudy ballroom where he can be celebrated as if he was a king. All of this has been happening during the 24 days of the Trump Republican shutdown. But they can't find a moment to talk with Democrats to find a bipartisan solution forward to reopen the government and to address the healthcare crisis that they are inflicting on the American people. That's why we find ourselves in this situation, and we need Republican support for a bipartisan path forward in order to get out of this situation.
James Peterson, column for the Philadelphia Citizen, and host of every evening's WRD, and joins us right now. Also joining us is Michael Imhotep, host of African History Network show out of Detroit. James, I'll start with you. I mean, listen, what we are dealing with here is very clear, and that is you have Republicans who do not want the Affordable Care Act. They have hated the subsidies, and so what they have done, they have chipped away at this as much as they could, and so they're using the argument, oh, we don't want undocumented people getting emergency room service, and so emergency rooms have to serve anybody who comes through. But we know doggone well that's not the preponderance of the people who go to emergency rooms to get help. And when I have been saying consistently that this is a hill that Democrats should die on. They should not budge off of this. And if that means the government is shut down for 2, 3, 4 months, so be it, because health care is that important to the American people.
Yeah, Roland, you've laid it out pretty clearly here, and Representative Minority Leader Jeffries also made the case crystal clear, I think, for the American people. I mean, this is a conundrum, right? Because a government shutdown does have a disparate impact on the African-American community. Roland, you know this, but Black women make up 6% of the United States workforce, 12% of the federal workforce. SNAP benefits will not be available to 2 million Pennsylvanians starting right now for the month of November, and that's going to cut across the swath of these United States. And so there will be real pain that people will experience from this shutdown. But I believe that the Democrats have made a decision. They are going to die on this hill. And here's what's interesting. People have been clamoring and asking for the Democrats to be the oppositional party. This is what the opposition looks like, but it's a conundrum because it is painful. It has disparate impacts on the most vulnerable communities in this country. But making this decision makes sense from my perspective, because when you think about, what is it, how many votes were there in the last, it was 60, 70 times they tried to end the Affordable Care Act. It was McCain with his thumbs down gesture that prevented their last. They have been chipping away and trying to dismantle this for forever. And just so people understand, Roland, what they are trying to protect are the dollars of billionaires to buy yachts and private planes. That's what those tax subsidies essentially represent, right? The tax credits and subsidies take a little bit of money from the wealthy to subsidize middle-class Americans, working-class Americans, to make healthcare affordable for them. And the tsunami that the Democrats see is that if folks are not able to re-up here in November, if those tax credits and subsidies are not available, these are the things that make the Affordable Care Act affordable. If that's not available to people, we're going to be dealing with a much bigger crisis than we understand right now, 25 days or so into this government shutdown. And again, what people have got to understand here, when we talk about healthcare, literally people dying. You have rural hospitals shutting down.
We've seen this before. We saw what happened before when they did not have any Medicaid expansion, hospitals shutting down in North Carolina and other places. And guess what? People who had a health emergency could not travel some 65 miles away, and they were dying. This is literally a life and death issue.
Yes, it is. And again, it's shameful that listen, the Republicans control the House of Representatives, the Senate, the White House, the Supreme Court, many of the state legislators that did not accept the Medicaid expansion, Roland. Many of the state legislatures that did not accept the Medicaid expansion are Republican state legislators. They control government, but they will not take accountability for this moment and this shutdown. Again, even as it has a disparate impact on our community. Once again, Black women specifically have to bear the brunt of advancing the cause of cultivating and preserving this very fragile democracy. But this is the right hill for this iteration of the Democratic Party to stand on, because again, healthcare impacts everyone. If you think you have private healthcare from your insurer or whatever, you have to understand, if ACA goes away, your premiums go up. If more people are seeking healthcare through urgent care and emergency medicine care, your premiums go up. So this impacts everyone. There will be millions of Americans who can't afford healthcare if these subsidies are not renewed, but it will ultimately impact the entire system.
Well, you know, I look at these people who complain. Let me pull this tweet up. So, just moments ago, you know, you got Ted Cruz. He tweeted this idiot
We're
tweeted
paying
this.
for his healthcare, Roland.
Right. And so this one guy posted how average U.S. family health insurance went up. And this guy said, go to my iPad, Henry. So he says in 1999 it was $6,000, and then in 2025 he claims it's $27,000. So this is what he's claiming. And so Ted Cruz goes, "This is what Obamacare produced. Meanwhile, health insurance company profits have doubled. Some of us told you this was exactly what was going to happen." I'm sorry. Can you show me any evidence where Senator Ted Cruz, as well as the Republicans, are trying to stop health insurance companies from doubling their profits? I don't see it. You got Donald Trump, who wants to roll back the prescription drug benefits. They fought lowering the price of EpiPens. They fought $35 insulin. So I'm sorry, I'm not buying their BS.
Roland, your disgust is appropriate here. How can we have a conversation with Senator Ted Cruz? We're paying for his health care, right? And he's trying to tell us about how some of the most vulnerable communities are experiencing the costs of healthcare. It is true that the American healthcare system is expensive and not efficient enough. There are a lot of reasons why that's the case, but people don't want to have this conversation, Roland. The reason why our healthcare is expensive and not efficient and effective enough is because there's no public option. It's because of the laissez-faire free market policies that Republicans love, and that unfortunately are the feature of the American capitalistic system. So there are reasons why our healthcare is expensive and not efficient enough, but we can't have that discussion right now with someone who is enjoying the best healthcare this country has to offer at our expense. I'm not talking to any senators about healthcare. What I'm saying to senators and elected officials is get this deal done, restore the credits and subsidies that make the Affordable Care Act affordable, because the American people demand it. Poll your people, poll your red states, see what they say, right? They demand it, and without it, this fragile healthcare system, never mind our democracy itself, this fragile healthcare system will be in jeopardy.
So what are your callers saying about your U.S. Senator John Fetterman? This is from a media item right here. John Fetterman has been urging Republicans to use the nuclear option to reopen government. He says, "I don't want to hear any Democrat clutching their pearls." What are your callers saying?
I can't repeat exactly on your program what my callers have been saying in the comments about Senator Fetterman, but I think he will have a very, very difficult time.
No, actually, you can say it on my show because I don't have FCC oversight, so we're good. I take it they're pissed.
They are more than pissed, Roland. They feel betrayed by Senator Fetterman. And this has happened too often. They're feeling shades of the Bernie bros who showed some of their racist colors at times in certain elections, right? And I love Bernie Sanders, but you understand that there are leftists, there are people who pose as leftists, who are ultimately ideologically more aligned with right-wing politics. Senator Fetterman has availed himself as such. He has essentially caucused with the Republicans. I do not believe, and I have an open invitation, Roland, for you to come on my show. Please come on my show, Roland. But an open invitation for Senator Fetterman to come on to my show and speak to his constituents, his Black constituents, on the platform of WRD. That is open to him. We have asked out. Please come on and talk and explain, why you are convening with President Trump. Explain why you are caucusing and voting with the Republicans at the senatorial level. I do not think that Senator Fetterman will be able to launch a re-election campaign as a Democratic representative in the Commonwealth of PA. Maybe he can do it as an independent. Maybe he can do it as a Republican. I don't think he'll be able to do it with the support of the Black community in the state of PA.
This was the video that he dropped talking about the government shutdown.
Hi, here we are, and our government remains closed. And I think that's failure. And I'm the guy that's going to consistently vote for country over party. I'm always going to vote for paying our military over the party. I'm always going to vote for paying the Capitol Police over my party. And I'm going to continue to fight for the 2 million Pennsylvanians that depend on SNAP to feed themselves. And I'm also going to fight for the same 400,000 Pennsylvanians that depend on those tax credits to make health insurance more affordable. Two things are true, and now we can fight for all of them as long as our government is open. My vote is going to remain firmly on keeping our government open, and I'm going to continue to fight for all of those Pennsylvanians that I'm honored to represent here.
So I'm confused. How are you going to fight for the subsidies if Republicans want to get rid of the subsidies?
Roland, with all due respect to Senator Fetterman, those comments are made in the context and spirit of good faith. And we have a Republican-run federal government at the level of the House of Representatives, the U.S. Senate, the White House and the executive office, and the Supreme Court that are not operating in good faith. And so it's okay. It sounds good. That's a great video, Roland. Thank you for playing it. It sounds good. It looks good. Like you're a true American. You want the subsidies for ACA. You want the SNAP benefits to be in place for November. The SNAP benefits will not be in place for November. That's not going to happen. We are too close to that deadline to reverse that at this point. But you think that your colleagues, your Republican colleagues at the Senate, are prepared to actually negotiate on the tax subsidies and credits that make the Affordable Care Act affordable, then you're not paying attention. They want their lobbyists, the wealthy folks that they represent, the oligarchs, the plutocrats, the tech bros that they represent, to be able to get their next yacht or their next plane. They have chosen that over healthcare for millions of American people. You have to say that in your video, Senator Fetterman. You know that, Senator. He knows that, right? So you have to say that the interests of one particular party that Senator Fetterman is essentially caucusing with is invested more in the tax credits and tax relief for the wealthiest corporations and people in this country, as opposed to the tax subsidies that make the Affordable Care Act affordable for millions of Americans and American families in this country.
Well, here's a perfect example. He goes on News Nation and he's talking about how
News Nation?
Yeah, he goes on News Nation because, first of all, it's amazing. I find it interesting that he can't find time for WRD, but I'm literally going through clips. Go to my iPad. Let's see here. He's on News Nation. He's on Fox Business with that nutcase Maria Bartiromo. Here he is on Fox News with Sean Hannity. Let's see here. More Fox News, Fox News. Hey, wait a minute. I got to get one. He was on Mike Lindell TV. Mike, the My Pillow dude.
I know. And listen, the Lindell TV is one of the few press organizations that now have access to the Pentagon, Roland. Okay? But listen, Here's how Senator Fetterman is a little bit like a black conservative. A black conservative understands that there is a lot of media attention, there is a lot of resources, a lot of lobbying dollars, a lot of opportunity, access, if you espouse whatever the views are of the right-wing Republican Party. Now, those views change, by the way. They're not consistent. The Republican Party that we're dealing with right now, Roland, as you know, is not the Republican Party that was around 20 years ago when we were engaging them and debating them, right? This is a different party. But if you subscribe to them, if you are a black face, or in the case of Senator Fetterman, a Democratic face that caucuses with them, then you will have unlimited appearances on Fox, on Lindell TV, on News Nation, on whatever right-wing network you want to be on. You'll have access to the Sinclair network. They will talk about you in conservative publications. They'll write you up on Fox. They will tokenize you if that's what you want. Roland, let me tell you something. Roland, Roland, congratulations on everything you've built here. This network, your show, right? If you wanted to become a billionaire, you could switch sides right now, Roland.
I've said that many times. If I right now, with my skill set, absolutely, please. It wouldn't even, I would have Republican billionaires throwing money at me if I chose to be a Brandon Tatum, Candace Owens, any of these people. That they would be lavishing me with all kind of stuff.
Throwing money at you. You'd never have to raise money again. You have to ask money for money again. You're not going to do that. You're a principled person. I'm just saying so people can understand the dynamics of the marketplace that we're in. We're in a political marketplace where money still, unfortunately, drives and controls ideology. And under the current administration, it drives and overdetermines policy.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. Let me go to a quick break. I want to come back. I got a couple more questions I want to ask you. Go to a quick break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
As a pastor, I hear a lot about trips to the doctor, bills piling up, jobs being lost. So as your delegate, I went to work writing laws that protect families, helping parents care for their disabled children, capping insulin costs, lowering prescription prices, and investing in our police and schools. I'm Josh Cole, and as your delegate, I'm working to keep us strong and safe.
What's up? It's your girl, Tamika D. Mallory, and you are watching the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. I'm talking with Dr. James Peterson, columnist for the Philadelphia Citizen, also host of Evening WRD's WRD Radio, of course, there in Philadelphia, Black-owned radio. Glad to have him here. Michael Imhotep, after History Network shows with us as well. Michael, you got a question for James?
One thing that I wanted to know, Dr. Peterson, is for your listeners there, how are they perceiving the Democrats staying strong and doubling down on not giving the votes to reopen the government without the concessions for ACA subsidies as well as Medicaid? And because I know people have been saying for months they want Democrats to fight. They want Democrats to fight. So I was wondering, how are they perceiving this?
Excellent question, good brother. I appreciate it. I want to take a moment just to applaud the political courage of my audience. You know, I speak to a largely Black audience that skews a little bit older. Roland, very familiar with my audience at Evening Words on WRD. They love you, Roland, as you already know. The thing is that, so let me give me a minute here. So you all both know that the Social Security Administration has put in place a migration away from paper checks to everything's going to be electronic transfer. For my audience, that's a big deal, right? And so under the terms of this federal government, where they're shedding SSA workers, shedding federal workers across the board, A government shutdown is very pronounced for the listeners of Evening Words on WRD. It's very pronounced for Black folks of a certain demographic and a certain age across this country. But they are absolutely standing behind the Democrats in this moment because they believe, and they've been asking and wanting for a stance. They've been asking and calling for and demanding in some ways an oppositional party in this moment. That's different from the Democrats. They want someone to formulate and cultivate an opposition. And so they see this shutdown as such. The sad part is that the people who have to sacrifice the most in the shutdown are the ones who are most committed to it because they understand what's happening to this democracy. They understand what's at stake in terms of healthcare and the ACA. They understand what's at stake with a president who will literally demolish the East Wing of the White House in a blink of an eye without any quarter or any balance or check or whatever to create a $300 million ballroom in a moment where people can't afford ground beef.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but again, it goes to show you what priorities are, and the thing that I need people to understand, what is going on here. The Republicans are running scared. The reason they're trying to gerrymander, oh my God, because they're running scared. Look, you're there in Pennsylvania, and I need people to understand. Talk about, this is why I want to bring you back, the upcoming Supreme Court races. Because Republicans have been pissed off with the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania because of what happened during COVID. They even at one point tried to go to single-member judicial districts so they could, because they didn't want statewide, because they wanted to be able to elect all of these right-wingers outside of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and the suburbs. And so what people need to understand here is why I keep emphasizing Supreme Court. I need Black people in Pennsylvania voting like crazy to make sure you have common sense people on that state Supreme Court, because again, what could happen in Pennsylvania would happen in Ohio. You had progressives who were on the Supreme Court who made consistent rulings about everybody being able to vote. Then the right wing took over and they have been jamming through everything. If that happens in Pennsylvania, you're going to see hell break out like we're seeing in West Virginia, North Carolina, in Ohio. Every place where the Republicans control the Supreme Court, they have basically run roughshod in the legislature.
Roland, you've already very well articulated and laid out the political terrain of this election. I do want any Pennsylvanian listening to your program to come out and vote. I can't endorse candidates, as you know, but I do want to make it very, very clear what the situation is around Pennsylvania's state Supreme Court. There are 3 democratically affiliated judges on the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court who are up for what's called a retention vote. It's an up or down vote. Yes, we retain you. No, we do not. Now, I just want to be clear about the logistics of the Supreme Court. Number one, if you do not retain these judges, then the Supreme Court can't even function the way that it's supposed to, right? Because it will have to have new judges put in the next session. But I also am asking all Pennsylvanians to please pay attention to how much money is flowing into this particular race.
Yep.
If you ever need to understand whether or not a local race has national implications, just see how many TV ads you're seeing. See how many radio ads you're seeing. Count the flyers that are coming into your mail, right? That will give you an indication of the money that's being spent. To all of my Pennsylvania colleagues and friends, this is external money that's coming in from right-wing organizations trying to change the ideological makeup of the state Supreme Court in Pennsylvania. Why they want to do that? Because the state Supreme Court may have the ultimate decision about electors and about elections. It may have the ultimate decision about reproductive rights. It may have the ultimate decision about the insulation of our state from these federal policies, the insulation of our state from the intrusion of ICE, the insulation of the state of Pennsylvania from any kind of federal overreach. The state Supreme Court may be the last bastion, right, of insulation against those things. And so Republican forces outside of the state Roland.
Elon Musk. I mean, these are the three judges: David Wecht, Christine Donahue, Kevin Dougherty.
Yep.
Elon Musk has been pouring money in because he burned through millions in Wisconsin. What happened there? They had special election. Democrats won. Boom, 4-3 majority. It changed the tenor of politics in Wisconsin. Right. And so one of the reasons Republicans have been able to get away with gerrymandering, political gerrymandering, racist gerrymandering, is because they control the legislature. Then they control the state Supreme Court. So what happens? The legislature passes these jacked up maps. Supreme Court validates them. That's what happened in Wisconsin. The reason why you look at statewide in North Carolina, I showed it last night, 51% of the folks who vote in the House and the Senate races are Democrat, 49% Republican. The Republicans control 60% of the House seats, 60% of the Senate seats.
And they're gunning for more, and they're gunning for more.
And so in order to protect what's happening in Pennsylvania, you have to protect the people on the state Supreme Court who are not these hardcore ideological right-wingers. They love talking about activist judges, but the most activist judges are the folks on the right, which we see with the U.S. Supreme Court.
Period. You want to see an activist judge, look at the United States Supreme Court. And their goal, Roland, is to refashion every state-level Supreme Court in the model of the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yep.
They want dominant right-wing ideologues. They want Clarence Thomas's dominating every state-level Supreme Court. And here's the thing. They talk about states' rights all the time. This is the party of states' rights. And everything they're doing in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania right now is to erode the rights of the state itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just need people to understand why it matters. Give me a sense of what's happening there on the ground. I have been making this point that one of the things that we are seeing across Black communities nationwide is that the people who really worked campaigns, who worked the grassroots, who are at City Hall and county government and school boards, those people are getting old. They're retiring or they're passing away. And you do not have that next generation that's picking that mantle up. Posting on social media ain't the same as being true boots on the ground. Are you seeing the same thing in Philadelphia in terms of the erosion of those folks? And what is happening with turnout? Because I was there during the 2024 election. We had several shows there as well, and a lot of people were very concerned about turnout in Philadelphia. What are you hearing? What are Black folks saying? And because I keep arguing, we've got to have, wherever Black people have significant numbers, we've got to have a minimum of 70% turnout. We cannot keep 48, 51, 55, 57. No, we got to be at 70 or higher in order to offset these right-wing MAGA folks who are voting, in your case, in other parts of Pennsylvania.
Roland, it is highly unlikely that we will get to 70% turnout in the November 4th election. I hate to say that. I want that, but it is highly unlikely we will get there. On my show this past week, I spoke with City Commissioner Omar Sabir, who works specifically at the city level, the municipal level, in voter turnout, engagement, and registration. His goals are more around 20%, and for him, those are lofty goals, Roland.
Whoa, stop. Whoa. You said 20?
Yes. Now, that's not Black folks. That's 20% turnout of registered voters in Philadelphia. And those are lofty goals, Roland. I spoke with Angelique Hinton, who runs an organization called PA Youth Vote. And she's engaging young people and getting young people to come out. And there's a misalignment, Roland. Like, young people who are entering in and who are excited about voting are very much interested in things like racial justice, right? They're interested in things that were formative for them when they came of age, like George Floyd. Unfortunately, we're in a moment where those ideas, those concepts are being dismissed in American electoral politics. So there's a little bit of a disjuncture between young folks who want to get into this process and what people are actually talking about and what's at stake.
But what I don't understand is that I keep saying this: you can't want policy changes if you don't vote for the politicians. This is an article right here from May of this year. Low voter turnout for local Philly elections cause for concern. Only 3 districts in Philadelphia achieve more than 25% voter participation. Only 3 more than 25%. So 75% of the folk didn't turn out, but I guarantee you the bitching and moaning is much bigger than 25%.
It is. And people have a right. People have the right to exercise. Here's what I would say. What I want in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, and across this nation is a set of parameters and ideas that make our democracy more accessible and more inclusive. I want to start here. And I asked the commissioner about this, and I'll talk to any elected official in Philadelphia about this. Why not just give everyone the day off on election? Do it at the municipal level. Do it at the state level. Give everyone the day off. At least then the state, the city, the community is saying this is important.
Right.
So that, you know what I mean? Let's do that. The federal government should do it as well. But until we get the federal government, let's do that. The second piece is that we have got to start to field candidates. If we're interested in cultivating and preserving this democracy, we have to field candidates that can engage people across demographics. Obama was great at that, but we haven't done a good job of fielding candidates that can do that. The thing, you can hate Trump all you want, but he appeals to a wide range of demographics for a variety of reasons, but he cuts across different demos and regions and age and race and all those things. You have to field candidates like that because that's what the electorate looks like. I don't know if Dems always understand that. And again, I can't endorse anyone here, but when you look at the judges that we're asking people to vote to retain, people look at those judges and they don't understand what their connection is to them.
But see, but that's why what I have been saying that we have to, and Michael, I've made this point, we've got to have citizenship education. We've got to have civics 101.
Yes. Political education.
We got to be teaching this 100%. Constantly. I mean, again, go back to my iPad. That election in May in Philadelphia, 16% of the voters in the city participated.
Terrible.
84% of the people registered to vote in Philadelphia did not vote.
Damn. And let me add this though, Roland, listen, you got to understand also, they live in a city where there are a lot of challenges around poverty and around gun violence, whatever, and that's a democratically run city. It's been a democratically run city for a long time. And so they don't understand how continuing to vote for Democrats is in their interest or will make any changes. And so there's accountability that particularly generational Democratic elected folks who've been in office for a long time have got to be able to answer to the people for. I try to hold those folks accountable anytime they're courageous enough to come on my show. But with that accountability piece is important. People are checked out because they don't understand how politics and government actually works for them.
Michael, you've got a mayoral race coming up in Detroit. What is that looking like?
Well, there's a lot of excitement, I think, around the mayoral race. We just had, about a week or so ago, we just had the debate, Mary Sheffield, City Council President, debating Pastor Solomon Kinlock. So you have that, but also there's a question of how is this going to impact the neighborhood. So there are a few dynamics taking place. One of the questions being asked is, okay, how right now we have a white mayor, Mayor Mike Duggan, right, who's running for governor as an independent.
Yep.
Okay, with Trump invading these various black cities with black mayors, right, what's going to happen with Detroit? Is he going to try that here in Detroit? Because Detroit is going to have a black mayor regardless of who wins. So there is excitement. Now we have to see what the voter turnout actually looks like in the November 4th election, Tuesday, November 4th election. But you have a lot of people who are paying attention, but also trying to find out, okay, you've built up downtown Detroit, and a lot of Detroit is not affordable, especially for African Americans. A lot of African Americans have been pushed out of Detroit because of gentrification. So how will your policies, regardless of which candidate, how is that going to improve the lives of people in the neighborhoods?
Well, again, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I had a quick question for Dr. Peterson, if you don't mind, because I wanted to know about young people.
Go.
Oh, okay. So Project 2025 is a backlash to the social justice reckoning that took place after the death of George Floyd and a lot of the changes that were taking place in this country. How are the young people, young voters that you're talking to, how are they understanding Project 2025? And it is a direct attack on what they say that they want.
Yeah, I think that and again, like, there are great organizations in Philadelphia that are on the ground doing this work. I mentioned PA Youth Vote and Angelique Hinton, but there are other organizations that are really out there. They're doing this work, registering young voters, engaging them, providing that civic education that sadly, Roland, is extracurricular, right? They're providing civic education as extracurricular piece of what they're doing. The top issues for young people are around racial justice and wrestling with gun violence. And I'm sorry, those things, I talk about them, the media talks about them, but political candidates are not talking about them in ways that are engaging for young voters. So I'm like both of you all, good brothers. I'm always like, man, why aren't more young people engaged? But the more I work with and talk to the people that are working with young people, what I'm realizing is that our candidates are not engaging young people. Our candidates are not talking about the issues that matter to young people. They want to talk about funding of their schools. How do you end gun violence? And how do we really get to some racial equity and racial justice? And those simply are not the issues that are at the fore of this cycle coming up in November 4th. And sadly, they were not at the fore in 2024 from their perspective. And so I want to try to bridge that gap a little bit. I want to try to talk about that more in the media and talk about that more in my classrooms. If you would have told me that racial justice was the number one thing on the register for my students, I might not have even known that. And I teach the young people every day, right? So I think part of it is a little bit of a course correction of us meeting some of these young people where they are and beginning to talk more eloquently and more energetically about the issues that matter to them.
Well, I think one of the things that that we have to concede is that, and I say this to young voters, politicians are going to talk to the people who turn out.
Yep. It's a terrible.
Listen. I'll never forget. There was some folks, some young folks came to Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr. when he was in Congress in Chicago. They were like, "Man, if you don't do this, we gonna vote you out." He said, "All y'all can kiss my ass." He said,
"Because you ain't voting."
He said, "Let me tell y'all something." He said, "You see that building right there?" And he pointed. There was a high rise in Chicago that was senior citizens. He said,
they all vote.
He said, "Let me tell you something right now." He said, "Election day, they're gonna be in their rockers." He said, they're gonna be in their walkers, they're gonna be in their scooters, they're gonna be on crutches, they gonna vote. He said, when y'all asses start voting, he said, they don't listen to you. Now I know somebody listening to me right now said, man, that's not a position that you should have, but facts are facts. People talk to people. That's why there's a thing called registered voters, likely voters, okay? They are talked to likely voters. And what I am saying to black people in Philadelphia, black people in Detroit, black people in the state of Mississippi, black people in Houston, places where we have lots of black people, if we understand that when we hit certain benchmarks, if you are dissatisfied in Philadelphia, the surest way to get a politician's attention is to vote their ass out. Because what's going to happen is going to be a domino effect. It's going to be like, oh, shit, what just happened? Because folks turned out. But if you check out of a process, you're guaranteeing you will never be heard. You will never have your issues addressed. I mean, it comes down to numbers. This is very simple. You can shake up politics by voting somebody out, and that's what has to happen. And so what I keep saying to our people, we can't, listen, we can talk about gerrymandering, which we absolutely are fighting. But when we start talking about citywide races, countywide races, statewide races, ain't no gerrymandering.
Right.
It's turnout. And that's what has to happen.
Yep. And turnout is what killed us in 2024. And it looks like in this upcoming election, turnout is going to be central to where we land. It's going to be central to the gubernatorial races in Virginia and in New Jersey. It will be central to these kind of Supreme Court retention things at the local level. Essential for the even more local levels, municipal level of the city controllers and the district attorneys and all those things. We've made so many great gains in the district attorney space that if we don't show up in November 4th, we might lose some of those gains.
There you go. I mean, that again, this is what I'm talking about. We have to be maximizing our political power, and you have to tie the issues to voting. And so I go back to the citizenship education that has to happen. We do this a lot on this show. This is why I'm a hardcore advocate for Black-owned media, because we've got to be sitting here utilizing these platforms to teach people, connecting the dots between this issue and politics on the local, state, school, county level, federal level as well. Because a lot of people, and I'm talking about, I've had conversations with journalists, young journalists, who literally had no idea. I'm talking about had no idea why you have city, county, state, federal, and understanding the dollars. I mean, I'm telling you, I need people watch it. This is real. What is happening right now is 100% real. Folks literally have no idea how these things intersect. Listen, my dad just sent me a text. Him and my mom voted in Texas. There are 17 constitutional amendments that are on the ballot on November 4th. 17. So if you're in Texas, Texas has the largest number of eligible Black voters than any state in the country. It's like, hey, what are those constitutional amendments? This is what I'm talking about. And a lot of us simply aren't understanding what's going on.
Well, I mean, Roland, we are where we are right now because of ignorance. With the creep of autocracy and fascism, the rule of the plutocrats and the oligarchy, the kind of rampant rampaging from the executive office that we're experiencing on a daily basis right now. We're 10 months in and it feels like 10 years, right? The reality is that if you want to figure out what the bottom line is, how we got here, it's ignorance. And there are too many ignorant people for whom we need to develop a program of political education. Now, yes, some of those folks are in our community, but a lot of those folks are not in our community, Roland. There are a lot of people who are ready and willing to vote against their political interests. If you try to raise the specter of where we are now, like, hey, you voted for this guy because you wanted him to get out of wars. Look at all the wars. You voted for this guy because he said he's going to bring down the prices. Look at all the prices; they're still going up. You voted for this guy because you thought he was going to run this government like a business. He's running it like his own personal fiefdom. But again, without political education, and without informing the electorate of this very, very fragile democracy at this point, I don't know how we get out of the conundrum and the challenges that we face right now.
Well, one of the ways we do that is when we absolutely embrace, accept Black-owned media, people who are talking about news and issues. I don't give a damn about gossip. I don't care about other little nonsensical stuff. I don't. It's enough of that crap out there already. We need to be again informing, teaching, educating, advocating, elevating people's minds, and that's what's important. James, when is your show on WRD?
It is Monday through Thursday from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You can go to wordradio.com and check me out. We are on Facebook. We're on Twitch. If you're in Philly, just go to 900 AM or 96.1 FM. And Roland Martin, when are you coming on my show?
Well, that's why I asked. That's why I asked what the time is, and so what makes so obviously 4 to 6 works, but probably what makes a lot more sense is if you get with Carol, my producer, and y'all set it up as a simulcast.
Okay. Oh, that's perfect. We're gonna do that.
See?
Yes. There you go. Thank you. That would be great for us. Yeah.
See? That's how you do that. All right, James, I appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Thanks a bunch.
Always. Yep. Thank you very much.
Folks, these are the 17 so again, so let me be real clear. There are elections happening all across the country. All across the country. Okay? So you hear us focusing on races in Philadelphia, races in state Supreme Court races in Pennsylvania, mayoral racing there in Detroit, but there are elections everywhere. In Texas, these are the 17 constitutional amendments that are right here. So if you are a Texas voter, understand early voting is happening as we speak, and you should be voting on these constitutional amendments. I'm just going to slowly go up. You will see these 17 right here, and you have an understanding of what's on the ballot. These are constitutional amendments, meaning if it's yes, if these pass, then they go into the state constitution, which is a lot harder to change than anywhere else. And so I just want people to understand this is what's happening. If you, the guys at Bolts magazine, we do, matter of fact, let's see here. Let's see, Tennille, 1 second, I'll show y'all. If y'all go to Twitter, follow at TANIEL. It's called Bolts Mag. They have a breakdown, like right here, you say, November's almost here, so time to launch my cheat sheet on what's on the ballot this fall. So they have a whole breakdown of what's happening with local elections all across the country. So if you go to Bolts Mag, BOLTSMAG.com. So of course, you've got the governor's race in New Jersey. You've got the statewide elections here in Virginia, the governor's races. You got the mayoral election in New York City. You got Prop 50 in California. But you've got, and you see, go back to my iPad. You see right here, hey, Georgia, y'all have got some critical races there. The Georgia Utility Commission. And so check that out right there. You got mayoral races in Albuquerque, Detroit, Jersey City, Minneapolis, Seattle. City councils in Aurora to Spokane. You've got ballot measures. Right here, it says ballot measures could reshape how people vote in Maine and New York. Voters would directly weigh in on criminal justice via sheriff and prosecutor races, such as in Philadelphia, Seattle. You also have school boards in Colorado, Pennsylvania, and Texas. You got county referendums. You got bond elections, which determine how money is spent on parks, schools, and transit. And so, again, I want y'all to go to boltsmag.org, boltsmag.org, BOLTSMAG.org. They literally have an election roundup, and you can go in here, and when you see like you see right here, you can also jump straight to the section of this guide that break down statewide races, key legislative battles, prosecutors, sheriffs, mayors, county executives, school boards, city councils, plus referendums on election law, housing, transit, parks, infrastructure, labor, and criminal justice. So just for instance, I'll tap criminal justice, and it's showing you referendums that are going on. You see it right here. Boom, you tap that, and you see right here, they show Flathead County, Montana. In Texas, two measures in Texas. You tap tax laws, you see what's happening right here. If you decide to tap parks, they show Boise, Idaho, New York State, Portland, Oregon, Spokane, Washington. And so I just need our people to understand. And here's what you can do, okay? I don't know how it works in your state. In Texas, you can take a sample ballot and you can fill your sample ballot and you can take that into the voting booth in Texas and sit it right there, and then boom, my sample ballot, this is how I'm gonna vote. So I don't know how it works in all states. I do know in Texas, you can take a sample ballot and you can do that. I just need our people to understand that all these elections are critically important. And so, matter of fact, I'm going to reach out to Daniel to get him on the show. We can talk about these things as well. All right, y'all, let me go to a break. We come back more on Roland Martin Unfiltered, the Black Star Network. This is why you have to support the work that we do, y'all, because you're not getting this granular conversation about elections on MSNBC, CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS. You ain't happening. In fact, my next guest, we're talking about a crucial congressional race happening, a critical race happening in Tennessee. These major networks ain't focusing on this. And so this is why your support is critically important for the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans on average to contribute $50. Already, y'all, we've raised towards our goal. We've raised $300,000. We've got 2 more months. We got November and December to raise the additional money. This will, because trust me, I was on the phone today, I was on the phone yesterday, talking to potential staffers. We're talking about developing a health show, business show, another daily news show. And so these things are happening, but your support is critical to make that important, because again, if 20,000 of our fans contribute on average $50 each, that raises $1 million, that money literally pays our expenses for 5 months. So now, our YouTube money, our other advertising money, we can cover the rest of the year. So your support is critical. If you want to give me a Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. That's for credit cards as well. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Check some money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. Back in a moment.
As a pastor, I hear a lot about trips to the doctor, bills piling up, jobs being lost. So as your delegate, I went to work writing laws that protect families, helping parents care for their disabled children, capping insulin costs, lowering prescription prices, and investing in our police and schools. I'm Josh Cole, and as your delegate, I'm working to keep us strong and safe.
Nicole Cole knows the cornerstone of a successful life starts here. Virginia Public Schools gave Nicole an excellent education. They helped her become a small business owner, family financial planner, mother, and community leader. Now, after 4 years on the Spotsylvania School Board, Nicole is running for delegate to meet the needs of all students. As our delegate, Nicole will fully fund our schools, raise teacher salaries, and help graduating students stay in our communities. Nicole Cole for delegate. For us, for our future.
In the military, I gave orders, and they went a lot further than they do around here. If there's one thing I've learned as a mom and foster parent of more kids than I can count, investing in their future isn't a choice. In Richmond, I'll fight for Stafford's fair share for our schools. Smaller class sizes, better teacher pay, and more vocational training.
I'm Stacey Carroll, and I'll fight to get our kids' future in order.
Lil Thompson with winwithblackmen.org. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, December 2nd, huge race happening in Tennessee. State Representative Afton Bain will compete against Republican nominee Matt Van Epps for the 7th Congressional District seat, which became vacant after Republican Mark Green resigned over the summer to take a job in the private sector. The district is predominantly Republican, includes both suburban and rural counties, as well as some Democratic areas in Davidson County, including Nashville. Now, you got to remember, Republicans screwed Nashville by splitting the city into 4 different congressional districts because they didn't want a Democrat representing Nashville. Well, joining us right now is State Representative Bain. Glad to have you here. So, all right, so this is important because you have a real shot at winning this. So this is a perfect example. When Republicans split Nashville, they did not like the fact that Nashville was a Democratic congressional seat, which means that you have Democratic voters who are still there. So if you have, I keep talking about maximizing turnout, and this is a perfect example. I keep saying for African Americans, I need 70% plus. if your folks turn out, that can offset those red areas of the district and put you in a position to win.
Well, first, I want to say thank you so much for having me. I'm a longtime listener, first-time caller. So
Appreciate it.
excited to be here. But yeah, so as we know, the district was incredibly gerrymandered to dilute Black power from the district. And so, but what they did is they got a little bit greedy. And so they took the highest voting turnout precincts in Davidson County, which includes Black communities, coupled with all the way up to Fort Campbell at the Kentucky border, which includes Montgomery County, which is a purple county, and then all the way down to the Alabama border. And so because it includes 3 counties, Williamson, Montgomery, and Davidson, which have a high turnout of Democrats, it makes this race really competitive. I'll also add that early voting totals for the primary election just showed us Democrats shy of 6,000 votes and catching up with the Republicans. And so, as you mentioned, this is absolutely a mobilization race, and I'm super excited to be the nominee.
So I'm looking at this story here, and it said you won the Democratic Party primary by less than 1,000 votes earlier this month. And it says you attributed that to grassroots energy and not taking corporate PAC money. How do you communicate to the people in the district who just, man, she can't win. We resign. Republicans are going to hold it. How do you get people to understand that, yeah, the guaranteed way to lose if you don't show up?
Yeah, I mean, as a community organizer in Tennessee politics for the past decade, I can tell you that I am the most jaded person probably in this state, but this is an opportunity of a lifetime, and it's an opportunity because special elections allow us to focus on the constituency that we would need to mobilize. And so our coalition to win is the coalition of the pissed off, of the disenchanted. If you think things are not working for you, then I am your candidate. If you feel just overwhelmed by the chaos of Washington and the cost of living, then I am your candidate, and I will fight for you. And I've been out on the campaign trail talking to people who voted for Trump, disenchanted Republicans, disenchanted independents, and then obviously our base is really mobilized. So this race is looking more and more competitive.
You call yourself a pissed off social worker. Explain.
Yes.
Explain that.
Well, as a social worker, I've had to deal with the broken policies and unkept promises of our politicians and elected officials. And so I decided to jump in this race after the passage of the big ugly bill in July. I have a close friend of mine who has a Section 8 voucher and receives SSDI benefits. She receives $800 a month, and she received a notification from the Trump administration that her benefits were going to be cut. The same week, she received a letter from our Medicaid program, TennCare, saying that she wouldn't be able to get a medication that she needed. And so I've been so upset with what's going on, and so I thought I'd channel my rage into this campaign.
So one of the things that I'm always one of the things I'm always talking about, and when we talk about these elections, I talk about data, and numbers. And so when you look at this district, what are your available African-American eligible voters? So what are we talking about here in terms of how many people, and where are they largely concentrated?
Yeah, it's about 17%. And so they're largely concentrated in North Nashville and Davidson County. And they turn out, and they are the most voted, dedicated Democratic voters in the district. And so, obviously a lot of our mobilization efforts will expand to there. And then also in Montgomery County and Clarksville, there's a lot of veterans there and a lot of Black veterans that have decided to make Clarksville their home after their service. And so that is where a lot of our GOTV efforts will be focused.
And talk about, how are you having people come from out of the state? How are you reaching them? What type of events are you doing to attract them? So what does that ground game look like?
Yeah, the ground game is going to have to be, really important. And so we've already started, weekly canvases, weekly phone banks. I imagine after November 4th, I think you were mentioning the two elections that are of top of mind. But after November 4th, we'll be the only election in the entire country, the last flippable seat in the entire country. So I imagine there will be phone banks all across the country to get out the vote here. And then in Davidson County, to excite especially young Black voters, we have a ton of HBCUs in Nashville, Fisk, Meharry, American Baptist College, TSU. And so we are currently working on an event with a national surrogate, which hopefully will be announced in the next few days.
All right. Well, certainly let us know about that. I got a couple other questions, but I'm going to have Michael Imhotep ask a question. Michael, go ahead.
All right. So my question was, we see that now I'm not exactly sure what your district consists of, but it's the state of Tennessee. So we see Donald Trump attacking, so to speak, Memphis, Tennessee, with National Guard, things of this nature. And I was wondering, what is your perspective when it comes to crime reduction in the city, when it comes to the National Guard being used to reduce crime or assist with ICE, et cetera, for undocumented immigrants?
Yeah, I've said this again. We had a massive, unprecedented ICE operation in May, and I've said this again and again on the campaign trail. We need National Guard to be focused on mitigating the next natural disaster in Tennessee. We are rampant for floods, tornadoes, Hurricane Helene hit, and our National Guard should be focused on adapting to and mitigating climate risk for the next few decades and years. And that's where our investment should be. They shouldn't be patrolling our cities and used as political props right now. Our cities have real issues, but as always, I believe, you can call me, I believe that local leaders should be solving local problems with local solutions. And this federal overreach has just been really, really wild to watch.
Well, it is, and again, I think what was really important here in your race here, we saw what happened. These Republicans in the legislature love talking about local control, don't like big government, but they said, screw Nashville, we're going to tell you what to do. You had one Republican in the legislature literally trying to rename the Nashville airport after Donald Trump. That man ain't got no ties to Nashville or Tennessee whatsoever. They've shut State Representative Justin Jones out of meetings at the airport pertaining to something that's in his district. And so that's what you've been dealing with. I mean, we talk about authoritarian rule in Washington, D.C. Y'all been damn sure dealing with that with Republicans in the State House.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been nonstop overreach, and Tennessee has some of the worst state preemption. And for your listeners, what that is when our cities try to pass legislation that benefits our citizenry, the state legislature comes in and neuters the bill. And a great example is Memphis. Memphis has tried to address gun violence in a myriad of ways, and the state legislature always overreaches and inhibits them from doing so. I mean, it's incredibly problematic, and it is the reason why our cities are experiencing what they're experiencing.
Well, it is going to be an extremely tough race. And this is what I keep saying. Every vote absolutely counts. When we look at, I go back to Sherry Beasley in North Carolina. She lost the state Supreme Court seat by 401 votes. You look at, I think it's Lisa Riggs. She won her Supreme Court seat just by 755 votes. And bottom line is, look, in order to flip this, you're going to need every single vote. And I really hope Black voters and others, but they're in Nashville, in Clarksville, really turn out because Republicans don't expect to lose this seat. Winning this seat puts Democrats one step closer to being able to take over the House. And they're trying to gerrymander seats left and right now. They expect to hold on to this one. And so if they're able to lose this seat and lose some other ones, then you're talking about being able to stop this MAGA agenda happening in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, just 3 points to that. I mean, one, this is a referendum on affordability and the unkept promises from both the state and federal administrations. We are dealing with a crisis of affordability in Tennessee, and it's not getting better. And so if a vote for me is a vote to make your life more affordable. Two, for Black voters in the district, this is a way to show up and say, we have disdain for this decision made for us. We want our congressional district back. But you know what? We're going to show up. We're going to come out. We're going to flip this district and show that, you know, Black voters still vote. Black voters are here, and they're going to fight, you know, for their voting power. And then three is this will come down to a few votes. And so, you know, all of you that are watching or you care what's going on, this is the vehicle in which to vent your frustration and your rage and your revenge for, you know, this administration. And so it's just going to be everyone in the country will be watching this race. And I'm just really excited to be the nominee. I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
All right, then. Again, Afton Bain, good luck. December 2nd, that's the day. Is there early voting in Tennessee?
Yes, there is, and most Democratic voters vote early. So vote early, vote Afton, vote November 12th through, I believe, at the third week of November.
So early voting starts November 12th in your race. Okay? All right, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much.
All right, folks. Again, y'all, it's voting. That's what it comes. I'm telling you, you cannot. All these people out here who keep saying, man, I'm not political, this stuff means nothing to me. There is nothing in your life, nothing, zero, that politics does not have a role in. Not a thing. Going to a break, we come back. New York Attorney General Letitia James shows up in court. We'll tell you what she had to say about these, trumped up, no pun intended, charges against her regarding mortgage fraud. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Afrotech, it's a lot of beauty, a lot of brilliance, a lot of intellect, a lot of innovation.
Companies that are most diverse are more profitable.
We're getting culture, we're getting community, we're getting the best of the best. And not only are we here to greet each other, but we're here to network and to elevate each other.
Everybody from all the major tech companies here, and that means that now everybody's in the same domain.
This is the premier event every year. This is really where we could take off. You can go fast by yourself, but we go farther together.
This is where you're supposed to be.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's a time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion, and we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Book bans, anti-intellectualism, and Trump's continued war on wisdom.
This is a coordinated backlash to progress. At the end of the day, conservatives realized that they couldn't win
a debate on facts. They started using our language against us, right? You remember when we were all woke and the woke movement and all that kind of stuff? Now everything is anti-woke, right? When we were talking about including diversity, equity, inclusion in higher education, now it's anti-DEI. All this are efforts to suppress the truth because truth empowers people.
You're watching The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm Mark Morial, President and CEO of the National Urban League, and I'm watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
New York Attorney State General Letitia James pled not guilty to federal mortgage fraud charges and called the case a politically motivated hit job orchestrated by the twice-impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief Donald the Con Trump. The person who convicted her, guess what? Tish James, especially that civil case. James vowed to fight the allegations. Her legal team is challenging the appointment of U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, a completely, grossly unqualified individual. She's a Trump appointee who replaced another prosecutor reportedly unwilling to pursue the case. The charges against James contend that she misrepresented a home in Norfolk, Virginia as her secondary residence to secure favorable mortgage terms, even though the property was rented to a family of 3. James, who previously led the successful fraud case against the Trump organization, told supporters outside the courthouse that her prosecution was Trump's weaponization of the justice system against his political enemies.
So I want to thank all of you. I want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank you for your prayers. I want to thank you for your emails. I want to thank you for your support. It has strengthened my spirit and it has anchored my soul, and so I want to thank you. But this is not about me. This is about all of us, and about a justice system which has been weaponized, a justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge. This justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge and a weapon against those individuals who simply did their job and who stood up for the rule of law. And a justice system which unfortunately is nothing being used as a vehicle of retribution. But my faith is strong. And my faith is, I have this belief in the justice system, in the rule of law, and I have a belief in America and all of its individuals who have stood with me, not only in New York, but all across this nation. I've heard from just about every jurisdiction in this nation who have said, stand up and be tall. And never, ever cow down or back down or break or bend. So there's no fear today. No fear. No fear. No fear. No fear. Because I believe that justice will rain down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. And I'm here to say that my work and my job and all that I do, all throughout my public career, I've stood up for the rights of New Yorkers and Americans, and I will not be deterred. And I will not be deterred. I will not be distracted. I will do my job each and every day, and that's why I'm headed back to New York, because there's work to be done, standing up for the rule of law. God bless you and thank you all, and I appreciate you.
And we're already seeing reports that the evidence they claim is a smoking gun is not exactly that. So can't wait to see Trump's incompetent, unqualified prosecutor get embarrassed in federal court. All right, y'all, let's talk about this trade tariff. So Donald Trump last night tweeted, "I'm cutting off negotiations with Canada because, damn it, the Ontario Premier had the audacity to run commercials in red states during sports games using the voice of Ronald Reagan, trashing high tariffs." I love this ad. Roll it.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
Whoa, Nelly, man, Trump was mad. He slammed the ad as fake, fraudulent, claimed it was designed to influence the upcoming Supreme Court case on his tariffs. Ontario Premier Doug Ford fired back, saying Reagan's words were a fair game and that tariffs do more harm than good. Well, the Reagan Foundation weighed in, claiming the province twisted Reagan's message. But fact checkers say, yeah, Reagan did spend much of that speech opposing tariffs. Oh, here's the problem. There's video of Reagan talking about tariffs in 1987. This is the speech where they actually pulled his words from that they claim are fake news.
My fellow Americans, Prime Minister Nakasone of Japan will be visiting me here at the White House next week. It's an important visit because while I expect to take up our relations with our good friend Japan, which overall remain excellent, recent disagreements between our two countries on the issue of trade will also be high on our agenda. As perhaps you've heard, last week I placed new duties on some Japanese products in response to Japan's inability to enforce their trade agreement with us on electronic devices called semiconductors. Now, imposing such tariffs or trade barriers and restrictions of any kind are steps that I am loath to take. And in a moment, I'll mention the sound economic reasons for this, that over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. But the Japanese semiconductors were a special case. We had clear evidence that Japanese companies were engaging in unfair trade practices that violated an agreement between Japan and the United States. We expect our trading partners to live up to their agreements. As I've often said, our commitment to free trade is also a commitment to fair trade. But you know, in imposing these tariffs, we were just trying to deal with a particular problem, not begin a trade war. So next week, I'll be giving Prime Minister Nakasone this same message. We want to continue to work cooperatively on trade problems and want very much to lift these trade restrictions as soon as evidence permits. We want to do this because we feel both Japan and the United States have an obligation to promote the prosperity and economic development that only free trade can bring. Now, that message of free trade is one I conveyed to Canada's leaders a few weeks ago, and it was warmly received there. Indeed, throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. Now, there are sound historical reasons for this. For those of us who lived through the Great Depression, the memory of the suffering it caused is deep and searing. And today, many economic analysts and historians argue that high tariff legislation passed back in that period, called the Smoot-Hawley Tariff, greatly deepened the depression and prevented economic recovery. You see, at first, when someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. What eventually occurs is, first, homegrown industries start relying on government protection in the form of high tariffs. They stop competing and stop making the innovative management and technological changes they need to succeed in world markets. And then, while all this is going on, something even worse occurs. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs, higher and higher trade barriers, and less competition. So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. The memory of all this occurring back in the 30s made me determined when I came to Washington to spare the American people the protectionist legislation that destroys prosperity. Now, it hasn't always been easy. There are those in the Congress, just as there were back in the 30s, who want to go for the quick political advantage, who risk America's prosperity for the sake of a short-term appeal to some special interest group, who forget that more than 5 million American jobs are directly tied to the foreign export business, and additional millions are tied to imports. Well, I've never forgotten those jobs, and on trade issues, by and large, we've done well. In certain select cases, like the Japanese semiconductors, we've taken steps to stop unfair practices against American products, but we've still maintained our basic long-term commitment to free trade and economic growth. So, with my meeting with Prime Minister Nakasone and the Venice Economic Summit coming up, it's terribly important not to restrict a president's options in such trade dealings with foreign governments. Unfortunately, some in the Congress are trying to do exactly that. I'll keep you informed on this dangerous legislation because it's just another form of protectionism, and I may need your help to stop it. Remember, America's jobs and growth are at stake. Until next week, thanks for listening, and God bless you.
Man, the Reagan Library, y'all, literally put out this statement, just really upset and angry at this here. This is David. Go ahead and show it. The Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and the Institute learned about the governor of Ontario, blah, 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 blah. They all mad, upset about the speech and saying it was improperly edited. Well, Trump acted a fool. So Ford has said now they're going to pause the ad after the World Series, saying it achieved the desired result. I love this, Michael. I love the fact that they're like, oh yeah, we gonna use your Republican martyr, Ronald Reagan, your North Star, his own words against you. And man, these Republicans, they really upset.
Yeah. So I've been hearing a lot about this. You know, I live in downtown Detroit, so I'm like 5 minutes away from Canada. So we've been hearing a lot about this, and then Trump says he's cutting off trade negotiations with Canada over this commercial. Okay, so I mean, he's acting like a spoiled little child. But the ad, even though it's excerpts of Ronald Reagan's speech, it is accurate because Reagan was against using, tariffs like for long term. And then when he invokes the Smoot-Hawley Act of 1930, which exacerbated the Great Depression and made the Great Depression worse because it taxed over 20,000 imported goods coming into the U.S. They were trying to protect products for American-grown, farmers and American-grown products, but it made the Great Depression worse. Well, this is what Trump is claiming to do now, and you look at what's going on with the cattle ranchers and Trump trying to import in beef from Argentina, and the white cattle ranchers who voted for Trump are saying this is going to continue to hurt us. So it's like history repeating itself. So, this was a brilliant ad. This was a brilliant ad combining history and economics. And Donald Trump, once again, is outsmarted, and he wants to pack up all his marbles and run home like a little spoiled child.
Yep, that's exactly what he is, a little spoiled child. So I love it. And let me tell you something, Canada ain't playing. The reason they got so many issues right now in Nevada and Las Vegas, because the Canadians are like, yeah, we ain't coming to Vegas. They ain't going to Miami.
Right.
They ain't buying no Kentucky whiskey. See, Donald Trump. And here's the other deal. Canada's like, we ain't got to deal with y'all. They're looking now to cut deals on trade with Asia, with Asia and other European countries. So they're like, yeah, player, we gonna show you. Right. So he gonna learn real quick what happens.
The World Series rolling. Yeah.
Yeah, but my point is, you're gonna learn real quick what happens when you force people to go find other partners because you think you're the only one.
But the Los Angeles Dodgers are playing the Toronto Blue Jays in the World Series. Game 1 starts tonight.
No, I get that. My point is, Canada is saying, since you want to act like a petulant child, we can take our business elsewhere. And again, China, Asian countries, and others, they're like, come on. And so Trump, you act a fool. Trump, FAFO, that's exactly what happened. Let me go to Illinois. Testimony continues in the Sonia Massey murder trial, where former Sangamon County, Illinois Sheriff Deputy Sean Grayson is facing multiple charges. An expert told jurors that Massey died from massive blood loss due to a gunshot wound. Deputy Dawson Fraley, who was Grayson's partner on the night of Massey's death, took the stand. He stated that he felt confused and, quote, not threatened when Massey exclaimed, "I rebuke in the name of Jesus." Fraley told the jury that he did not see or hear anything that would have led Grayson to draw his service weapon. He described being caught off guard by Grayson firing his gun, adding that the incident did not align with their training. Massey was killed on July 6, 2024, inside her home after she called 911 to report a prowler. Grayson is charged with first-degree murder and could face 45 years to life in prison if convicted. Prosecutors dropped the charges of aggravated battery with the firearm and official misconduct before the opening arguments took place on Wednesday. Folks, the Trump administration has discontinued litigation intended to address civil rights abuses against prisoners in Louisiana and individuals with mental illnesses living in group homes in South Carolina. I told y'all, they don't give a damn about civil rights. The Biden administration filed the lawsuits against the two states in December after the Department of Justice investigations found that they had failed to rectify violations despite years of warnings. Louisiana's prison system has kept thousands of incarcerated individuals behind bars for weeks, months, or even over a year beyond their scheduled release dates. The DOJ also accused of South Carolina of institutionalizing thousands of people diagnosed with serious mental illnesses. Since January, the Department of Justice, under the twice-impeached criminally convicted felon-in-chief Donald Trump, has dropped lawsuits related to racial discrimination, abandoned investigations into police misconduct, and terminated oversight of troubled law enforcement agencies. And some of y'all said that wasn't going to hurt us. 10 lawsuits have been filed in Mississippi against Drax Group, Britain's largest power plant, after workers say years of inhaling toxic wood dust left them with asthma and other serious health problems. That fight has now crossed the Atlantic. In Gloucester, a small, predominantly black, low-income community, more than 700 residents are suing Drax, claiming the sawdust is making their neighborhood sick. Locals say they've been dealing with headaches, dizziness, sinus infections, and trouble breathing ever since Drax opened its wood pellet facility nearby. A recent health survey found that 95% of families living within 2 miles of the plant reported health issues with asthma, chronic coughs, and throat irritation far above the national average. Drax used to burn coal. Now it calls itself a green energy leader, compressing wood pellets. But critics argue that while Drax gets billions in government subsidies abroad, black communities in the United States are left carrying the burden of pollution. Folks, Stephen A. Smith, he's backtracking. The outspoken sports and radio and talk show host has issued a public apology to Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett after his earlier remarks harshly criticizing her performative politics and so-called street rhetoric. Here's some of what Smith had to say.
going to help your district in Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? How much work goes into that? I'm just going to go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work.
Okay, y'all, so that was the original comments he made. Y'all know I had a lot to say about that. This is the apology.
I wanted to take a moment because I saw something disturbing in regards to President Donald Trump and how he came at Representative Jasmine Crockett. And I wanted to take this opportunity to attack this issue as it pertained to me and Jasmine Crockett because I personally have had an issue with how things have been misconstrued and misinterpreted. But at the end of the day, I have to own it. And that's what I'm going to do today. And so when somebody says to me, Stephen, rather than point to her and her verbiage and her language and how she talked about the president, what about how he talks? I have no problem with that. I can understand that. And if that is the reason that everybody is in an uproar, that is fine. And I have no problem apologizing to that to my sister because, damn it, I want her to know I don't feel that way about her. Just like I didn't feel that way about Kamala Harris. Just like I don't feel that way about the marvelous, the wonderful, the incomparable, the greatest first lady ever in Michelle Obama, in my estimation, or anybody else. But what we're going to do on this show is understand who the hell I am and how it's going to be as long as I'm doing this show. I have no problem apologizing if I'm wrong. I have no problem apologizing if I've made somebody feel a certain kind of way. But I'm going to challenge the legitimacy of what people come at me with when I think that challenge is warranted and deserved. If you came to me and you said to me that it came across as a bit dismissive, Stephen, you should have been more protective of her than that because look at how he speaks. Look at how they act on Capitol Hill towards her. I understand that. But when somebody tries to take that to accuse me of being disrespectful or in any way misogynistic, I'm going to push back on that because that's emphatically false. There's no truth to that whatsoever, and I'm not accepting that, and I'm not owning that. I can sit up there and I can look at Representative Jasmine Crockett. Do you know what I think she should be doing? I think she should be competing for the Senate seat in Texas or for the Attorney General spot because she's qualified. I personally think Kamala Harris should have ran for governor of California. I've said it for the record that if Michelle Obama was running for president, she would have beat Trump, in my opinion. I think she'd have done it. That's how I feel. But somehow, some way, it's never enough for some people out there. I understand. I would advise you to get over it or buckle up because I'm not going away. This is my show. I will say what I feel and I will do what I want. It doesn't mean I'm going to be insensitive. It doesn't mean that I don't care about our community. A matter of fact, most of the trouble I get in is because I care about our community. And the reason I'm bringing this up and the reason that I'm willing to attack this subject, because this really ain't about Jasmine Crockett. I respect her. I wish her nothing but the best. I was simply asking a question. That's all.
Mike?
Roland, I think the heat got too hot for Stephen A. Smith.
Touch that stove.
Touch that stove. The backlash was vicious. I saw your breakdown a couple of nights ago, breaking down his comments.
All factual.
Stephen A. Smith does not understand politics. Jasmine Crockett does not meet with Donald Trump. He actually said you should be trying to figure out how to negotiate with Trump on this and that. She doesn't negotiate with Trump. She's not in leadership like that. And he didn't even understand how many people members of the House of Representatives represent. It's approximately right around 780,000, not 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. But I have never heard Stephen A. Smith. And if I'm just going to go ahead and say it, if Shut Up and Dribble was a person, to me, it would be Stephen A. Smith. Okay, but I've never heard him say Donald Trump should sit down and negotiate with Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and find out what they want and put together a package. He's saying they should negotiate with Trump, but he's not saying Trump should negotiate with them. Trump just refused to have another meeting with House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. So how are you going to negotiate something when he doesn't even want to meet with you? Okay, so Stephen A. Smith should stick to talking about sports he never played and stop talking about politics.
I'm just saying. Smith says he doesn't want to be associated with anything that demeans black women. Bottom line is that heat got real hot. Folks, a viral video is folks online fired up showing a black Amazon driver fighting back after being attacked while just trying to do her job. The clip posted on a social user called We Told You So was captured under the example FAFO, and yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Roll it.
Do not race down my street again.
I was only going 25 miles an hour.
You're crazy. I got 5 people saying who's racing down the street.
Do you realize I'm a part of a company?
I don't, yeah, you're right. And you're going to lose your job because I got your truck number.
Well, they realize...
No, they don't realize you don't race around a residential track. Period.
Every time I drive, they know how many miles I'm driving.
How about your...
It does matter.
It doesn't matter.
It does.
You're fucking wrong.
Because if you're saying I'm wrong...
You're wrong.
And they're watching me...
You're wrong. You're wrong.
They're wrong.
Fuck you. You're...
Fuck your mother. Oh, you just hit me. You just hit me. Hold on. What?
You spit my face.
He just hit me.
You spit my face, you bitch.
Hell yeah, bitch. I'm gonna spit in your face. He's hitting me.
No, you hit me.
What? Because he hit me first.
No.
Yes, he did.
No, I did not.
Yes, I did. I got it camera. Look. Hey. Why are you hitting him? After he hit me, and I had a
You
face.
spit my face.
After he hit me and I had a face with him, she's telling him to go inside. Why are you telling him to go inside after your husband hit me? Nope. I don't care.
Look like Team Whip That Ass showed up, Michael.
From Amazon. That's a special delivery from Amazon whooping your ass. That's what happens when you run up on the wrong person. You thought you were going to intimidate her, and you thought you were going to sell wolf tickets, and you got your ass whooped. And I hope it goes viral, and you need to think the next time you run up on somebody like that. That's what should happen.
Yeah.
The people like that.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I loved it myself. Let me go to a break. I'll be right back.
In the military, I gave orders, and they went a lot further than they do around here. If there's one thing I've learned as a mom and foster parent of more kids than I can count,
Investing in their future isn't a choice.
in Richmond, I'll fight for Stafford's fair share for our schools. Smaller class sizes, better teacher pay, and more vocational training.
I'm Stacey Carroll, and our fight to get our kids' future in order.
Nicole Cole knows the cornerstone of a successful life starts here. Virginia Public Schools gave Nicole an excellent education. They helped her become a small business owner, family financial planner, mother, and community leader. Now, after 4 years on the Spotsylvania School Board, Nicole is running for delegate to meet the needs of all students. As our delegate, Nicole will fully fund our schools, raise teacher salaries, and help graduating students stay in our communities. Nicole Cole for delegate. For us, for our future.
Josh Cole became a pastor and delegate to serve his community. That's why Josh is fighting to lower costs for families hurting from inflation and make sure we can all afford quality health care. But Sean Steinway has embraced his MAGA backers who support Trump's mass firing of federal workers and the MAGA plan to ban abortion with no exceptions. We deserve better than Sean Steinway.
I'm Josh Cole, candidate for delegate, and I sponsored this ad.
What's good, y'all? This is Doug E. Fresh, and you're watching my brother Roland Martin Unfiltered as we go a little something like this. Hit it. It's real.
So y'all remember when I called out the History Channel for that BS docuseries on the frontiersmen, whatever the hell, and they dealt with, one of them dealt with the Alamo, and they played this?
To settle in, he realizes Texas is on the verge of rebellion. After years of loose governance, Mexican President Santa Anna suddenly imposes new restrictions on settlers. Now, angry Texans...
Santa Anna, he imposed. They were always playing. Well, guess what? The Republicans in Texas, like the idiot lieutenant governor, right-wing nutcase Dan Patrick, now he has demanded that the resignation for the president of the Alamo Trust because of her views on the history of the Alamo. She actually resigned. Kate Rogers resigned on Friday. Kate Rogers said on Friday she had submitted her resignation Thursday with mixed emotions because Patrick sent a letter to the Alamo Trust Board of Directors saying that her writings were, quote, incompatible with the telling of the history of the Battle of the Alamo. Isn't that interesting? It says here, this is click2houston.com. In the excerpt of her dissertation that Patrick posted on social media, Rogers described the competing politics of Republican state leaders who want the 1836 battle to be the primary focus of the Alamo's redevelopment, and of local officials from Bexar County and the city of San Antonio who have pushed for the project to, quote, tell the full story of the site, including its beginnings as a home to indigenous people. She wrote, personally, I would love to see the Alamo become a beacon for historical reconciliation and a place that brings people together versus tearing them apart. But politically, that may not be possible at this time. For all these reasons, I had to be very careful with my study and its implications, as it could have negative consequences, as well as my job. Now, she wrote this, and all of a sudden, Patrick was really mad and upset. Because it says right here, Republican state leaders have largely demanded the site remain focused on the 13-day siege and the legendary 1836 Battle of the Alamo, rejecting broader narratives that address the indigenous people of the area and consider the role slavery played in the Texas Revolution. See, right there, y'all, that's what the real deal is. See, Dan Patrick is the consummate white conservative Republican. He believes that what the white man says is true. He believes that what the white man says should go. Dan Patrick, and I know Dan. Dan used to be a sportscaster in Houston, and there was a show on Channel 2 in Houston, Click 2 Houston, called Newsmakers, and I often would debate Dan. And Dan was somewhat, you know what, he wasn't even back then a sensible conservative. He is now turned into a rabid, nutcase, MAGA-loving dumbass. And see, Dan Patrick believes in his story. He believes in the white man's story of history. See, Dan Patrick wants to revel in the Texas independence, which was really about slavery. Being free from Mexico so the founders of Texas could have slaves. But see, he doesn't want folk to know that history. He doesn't want people to know about the indigenous people who lived in and around the Alamo, because that's telling, history. Because he is an idiot. And so what he and Republicans in Texas, like Greg Abbott, the governor, what they are doing is they are demanding that their nonsensical lying history or his story become the narrative. They want to take over everything. They want to take over University of Texas, Texas A&M, every state institution, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools. They want to slam down the throats of everybody their pathetic historical worldview. They hate Harris County. In fact, Governor Greg Abbott plans to spend $80 million to defeat candidates in Harris County because they can't stand the fact that the largest county in Texas is blue. They hate it. They despise it. See, this is why I keep telling y'all voting matters. When Beto O'Rourke ran against Greg Abbott for governor, 75% of people 30 and under did not vote. Greg Abbott can be beaten. Dan Patrick can be beaten. The Republicans' grip on Texas can actually be broken if people use their voting power. And people like Dan Patrick, they don't care because they are idiots. They hate real history. And that's what you see in this case here. Their shameful actions, and now forcing this woman out of her job because she actually countered his stupidity. This is what we're fighting, Michael, across the country. These maggots and their shameful actions.
Yeah, and we saw this going back to 2021, 2022 with the book bans that were taking place, and we're starting with groups like Moms for Liberty and things like this during the pandemic. And then we see, we also saw the attack on critical race theory as well. We see this attack. Those attacks have continued with this attack on history, whether it's attacking the Smithsonian African American Museum, whether it's what Dan Patrick is doing here. And she was absolutely correct in her assessment of the Alamo. They were fighting to preserve slavery in that settlement of the Alamo. And when Texas comes into the Union in 1845, it comes in as a slaveholding state. So they don't want people to really understand that history. And then you dealt with the taking the land from the Native Americans as well. But this is something that Donald Trump said on Fox News, Fox and Friends, October 18th, 2024, when he was asked, what if you have one of these liberal states that teach this new history that the country was built on the backs of slaves and stolen from Native Americans? Trump said we would stop sending them money. He said the Department of Education would stop sending them money. And these people are destroying the Department of Education. That's chapter 11 of Project 2025. People have to understand how to connect the dots with all this. This is an all-out attack. And they use DEI to disguise what they're doing. Attacking DEI, they use that to disguise what they're doing. This is all planned out. So we have to study this plan and fight back.
Yeah, this is what these folks are doing. All right, folks. AKAs recently gave more than $1 million to Howard University. Also erected a statue on the campus. This is a video they put together showcasing what took place.
This is Danette Anthony Reed here, International President and CEO of Alpha, Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and my heart is full. I'm here on Howard University's campus where we just dedicated the Alpha Kappa Alpha Monument, a reflection in stone of our sisterhood. It is a wonderful thing and a vision come true. I love Alpha Kappa Alpha. I've been a member for more than 50 years, or right at 50 years in 2026. And all the members who came out to join us, it's wonderful because they also love our organization and they love working on service to all mankind. And that's why we're here. Hype me up. Hype me up.
You either win with us or watch us win.
Folks, ladies, Delta Sigma Theta are mourning their past president, Paletta Walker, who passed away. Her mega service was on yesterday. This was a tribute video that they put together for her.
silken dreams take flight as the darkness gives way to the dawn. You survived, now your moment has arrived. Now your dream has finally been born. Black butterfly, sail across the waters. Tell your sons and daughters what the struggle brings. Black butterfly, set the skies on fire. Rise up even higher, so the ageless winds of time can catch your wings. While you slept, the promise was unkept, but your faith was as sure as the stars. Now you're free, and the world has come to see just how proud and beautiful you are. Black butterfly.
So again, condolences go all to members of Delta Sigma Theta on the passing of Dr. Paulette Walker. And I have there's a text chain I have of different leaders, and I can tell you right now, I posted something. Give me 1 second, y'all. I had posted something in our text chat, and this was on September 10th. And this is the last text message from her. She says, "How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you beat a bully? One hit at a time. Each hit must be strategically planned." I said, "We must stand strong." And she said, "Stand we shall. When you've done all that you can do, just stand." And so again, condolences go out to all on the passing of Dr. Walker. Folks, at the campus of the university in Louisiana, they have suspended the Beta Sigma chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha over allegations of hazing. In a letter addressed to the chapter president, University Director of Student Leadership and Engagement said that Alpha is accused of violating Southern's hazing policy. As a consequence, the fraternity has received a cease and desist order while the university conducts an investigation. During the suspension, Alpha and its members lose all rights and privileges associated with being an active campus organization. Under the suspension, the chapter cannot have meetings on campus, wear fraternity apparel during the probationary period, or host any events on or off campus. The fraternity also, of course, announced they're going to be investigating as well. Earlier this year, remember, Southern expelled the Beta Sigma chapter of Omega Psi Phi fraternity in connection with the tragic death of Caleb Wilson and related hazing allegations. And so we'll keep you abreast of what's happening there. Folks, that is it for us. We appreciate you joining us. I am headed out over the weekend to Philadelphia. Tomorrow we're going to be actually live streaming the funeral services of Michael Days. Michael was a longtime journalist, top editor at the Philadelphia Inquirer. And a few days ago, he unexpectedly passed away, sending shockwaves throughout the organization. He was an amazing editor. And somebody who did a phenomenal job as a journalist. His funeral services are going to be taking place tomorrow in actually Trenton, New Jersey. And so we're going to be heading there in the morning, traveling to Trenton, New Jersey for that funeral. And so again, the celebration of life for Michael Days taking place. Viewing is from 10 a.m. to noon, and the mass is going to be at noon at Sacred Heart Church, 343 South Broad Street in Trenton, New Jersey. And so the celebration of life for Michael Days is tomorrow. So I'll be traveling there, and we'll be actually live streaming the funeral services on the Black Star Network, as well as on the social pages of the National Association of Black Journalists, where he was a long-time member. So, folks, that's it for us. Don't forget, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. If you want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here, bottom left-hand corner. Of course, that's for credit cards as well. PayPal is rmartin unfiltered. Venmo is RM unfiltered. Zelle, roland@rolandsmartin.com. roland@rolandmartinunfiltered.com. Mike, thank you for being on the panel. I appreciate it. Checks and money order, make it payable to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, of the Browning of America's Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available at bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version I read on Audible. Also, if you want to get our Black Star Network gear, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. We got our t-shirts, we got our hoodies, we got wall art, mugs, you name it, all that sort of stuff on the website. QR codes there as well. All these products to my left, these are all black-owned products. All of these products are available in our marketplace at shopblackstarnetwork.com. If you want to support black-owned businesses, support these businesses. Of course, we're going to have, holidays coming up. You got birthdays coming up. And so these are some great gifts you can give to folks. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Don't forget, download the app Fanbase. And if you get the app, download it. If you want to invest, go to startengine.com/fanbase, startengine.com/fanbase. Also, a shout out to Fort Valley State University. I'm rocking their hoodie today. This is one of the HBCUs that I spoke at. Had a great time when I was there. So a shout out to Fort Valley State Wildcats. Folks, that's it. We always end the show on Friday, running the list of all of our donors. And we appreciate all 37,000 people who've contributed to make this show possible. Folks, I'll see y'all on Monday. Holla!